Welcome to the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast with your host, Tony Guerra. The Pharmacy Leaders Podcast is a member of the Pharmacy Podcast Network, with interviews and advice on building your professional network, brand, and a purposeful second income from students, residents, and innovative professionals.
Welcome to the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast. Just wanted to, I'm exhausted actually, and I was just hosting the competition, but the stipend for the APhA-ASP mid-year travel stipend is over. I finished it a day early just because Sarah Thompson and Damaris Padilla were so far ahead, and it was clear that both of them had fantastic support. So instead of just giving one, I gave two stipends, one to Sarah and one to Damaris, and so they'll be seeing those checks and be in Anaheim here in a month and a half. So that was pretty exciting, and it was a lot of fun. Just a ton of excitement with that. So, but don't forget there are 3 stipends available to APhA-ASP MRMs. Shout out to the 3 current leaders. So I want to say it was they're all over 100. They're all over 100. Caleb Ramey from Wingate University's School of Pharmacy, APhA-ASP, and I definitely know that there was someone from Texas. Yep, David Gang, I think is how you pronounce his last name. UT Austin, who serves as the communications VP, and Deirdre Molte from the PCOM School of Pharmacy, and I think that's the Philadelphia College of Medicine, but it is in Georgia. Hopefully I got that right. It's actually tough to find PCOM and find out what the acronym is for. But I saw that there were a couple of others that were closing on in. So that's going on till next Friday. And those of you that are in MRM now, certainly enjoy the experience. Make sure you do some networking. Nothing's going to be more valuable to you now than being connected to other people. A ton going on in blogs and podcasts and videos this week. So we'll just start it off with a couple of the blogs. So meded101.com always has good updates on things that are new and exciting. HLAB 5701, what does it mean? Well, as pharmacists, as we're getting into some very new areas, I definitely would check it out and continue to follow his blog. It's just really easy to keep up. Has tremendous case scenarios, things that you maybe wouldn't think about, like the propranolol ciprofloxacin interaction. Also talks about some. His book was reviewed by Mid-Level U, which is a blog that focuses on PAs, nurse practitioners, and things like that, and really important as we're trying to work interprofessionally within the business. Don't forget, Eric Christensen also has the Real Life Pharmacology podcast. He was focusing on bupropion, I think it was yesterday, once that was what came out there, and then he does a great job, maybe 7 to 14 minutes. You can just keep up with pharmacology that way. I think all of them were by Alex Barker. They're certainly on the Happy PharmD, but why he left, there's an expectation that if you're going to get a pharmacy degree, you're going to use it for 20 or 30 years. And I don't think that's necessarily true. You can listen to YFP's recent episode, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, but she talked about leaving for maybe Rodan and Fields. My wife does Rodan and Fields. It seems to be something that goes well with pharmacists for 2 reasons. One, we're experts in medicine, and while we wouldn't, you got to be very careful about what you call it, but RNF definitely does have activity that improves someone's skin, and we're trusted. Even if it's a recommendation for a restaurant, if it's a recommendation for childcare, whatever it is, we're a trusted profession, and those give us a lot of advantages, even if it is in something like direct selling, where you're going to get some criticism from some people, and you've got to be tough, and you've got to know that this is something that you want to do, and you know that it helps people because you've used it and it helps you. So going back to leaving your 6-figure job to to get to that business. I think as professionals, and we're because of the cost of pharmacy school, it's kind of blown out of proportion what it is. Before, when I went to pharmacy school and it was $16,000 for 4 years worth, so $4,000 a year, you didn't have that feeling of, well, I got a pharmacy degree and I spent $16,000 on it, so darn it, I'm going to use it for 50 years. It's actually the opposite. It was, and even more so when it was a bachelor's, and I only missed the bachelor's because I didn't get my prereqs done in 2 years. But it was just a degree. It was just an applied chemistry degree. It's using your knowledge of chemistry and biochemistry to help people with their medicines. And because now we're seeing debts of $200,000 and $300,000, just because you paid $200,000 or $300,000 for something, I don't really think changes what it is. It's just your first degree out of college for most people. I mean, some people go back to get a pharmacy degree, a little less so now. But it's just a degree. It's just, okay, I like chemistry. I want to be around people that like chemistry. I want to be around people that like chemistry and using chemistry to help people. So leaving a pharmacist job to go and do your own business is in many ways the entrepreneurial dream, but be very careful because it becomes the entrepreneurial nightmare very quickly because we have very little training in pharmacy school, especially to become entrepreneurs. And I'm not knocking pharmacy school. It's the same with veterinary school, medical school, nursing school. All of those schools, the professors there are not independent contractors who depend on creating a customer base, paying their own employees and things like that. It's just a different skill set. To get that skill set, I definitely recommend the E-Myth, and it's a great book. I like the audiobook. They've also got the E-Myth veterinarian, chiropractor, physician, and I recommend those specifically because those are going to be a lot more like what your practice is going to be like. So again, don't feel that because you've got a pharmacy degree, you're somehow committing some kind of atrocity by leaving it. We heard from a couple who went to go travel, and she was an inpatient pharmacist, and she got her degree recently and then saved up and is going traveling. So it is it's not a logical fallacy. It's one of the, maybe it is. It's a fallacy though to say I got a pharmacy degree, I have to work in pharmacy at all. I teach chemistry and pharmacology at a community college. I don't need a pharmacy license for that. I need the eligibility to get one, which is just saying that you're in good stead with the board, or you're in good stead that you could hit it, but I don't need my license. And in no way do I say, gosh, I really should be using my pharmacy degree because I paid X number of dollars for it. So again, as you're looking towards employment, get that out of your head that because you went to pharmacy school, you need to get a pharmacy degree. You've gone to pharmacy school, you've got a number of skill sets, working with people, working in a team, working in complex situations, solving complex problems. Just figure out how you're going to like that. Also recommend the non-traditional pharmacists. They've got a bunch of interviews and blog posts that really speak to that in terms of specific jobs that you could get. My favorite was the Wolf of Pharmacy Wall Street, just because that just seems so departed from what we do, but it actually, if you listen to it or read the blog post, it's actually exactly what we do. So going back to Happy PharmD, so how you spend your time on LinkedIn, I've got 6,000 connections on LinkedIn or something close to it, and I'm not looking for a job. When I'm on LinkedIn, I'm just giving another way for people to get in touch with me. So that's how I use it. But I definitely recommend checking out how the Happy PharmD kind of goes over how to use LinkedIn. And Jackie Boyle gives a number of great tips on those 5 things that you really want to do in terms of working with LinkedIn. But as far as pharmacists go, this is the platform you want to definitely be on if you're looking for a job in not just pharmacy, but seeing what's out there. It's it's the platform professionally for us. And then Alex had another one, 5 immediate steps for pharmacists seeking more from their work. So a lot to read with his blog, but his posts, Jackie's posts, generally pretty easy to read quickly and get a lot of value out of. Nontraditionalpharmacist.com, definitely check them out. They also have a blog, and we hear them on the Pharmacy Podcast Network. I still like that. Networking is a must. The one that they did with Matt and Lynn, the 2 of the 3 of the non-traditional pharmacists, and I think that they give some great tips on making sure that networking is going to work for you. TLDR Pharmacy, so new FDA approval, Zemdry. It's a new antibiotic. Again, I'm not clinical, but as a pharmacology professor, I need to be up on the newest ones. I think it's plasmomycin, and it was from Will Towers, who's a P4 student at Auburn University of College of Pharmacy. So definitely check it out. And then let's see. So Women Pharmacist Day. Let me make sure I got it right, because I know it's hashtag Women's Pharmacist Day today, Friday, October 12th. Pharmacy Times had an article about it. Dean Renee Chestnut had a post on Facebook. A number of the female leaders that came out of Drake, and it's a pretty extensive list. So I definitely check out if you're a Drake alum, because I know 10% of the people that listen to the podcast are from Iowa. But definitely check it out. Just kind of amazing how the demographics have shifted. And as a father of 3 who will be young women soon, I'm pretty excited for the future that they're going to have. Pharmacy Times had a little bit of a blog post on it, but I definitely recommend you check out the 2 podcasts. So Fit Pharmacist Healthcare Podcast with Dr. Adam Martin. He had Susie on, I want to say it was on the 10th, 2 days ago, anticipating today. And then Susie Solomon, who founded the Pharmacist Moms Group, now has her own podcast on the Pharmacy Podcast Network, RX Talk with Susie. Also check out Ashley, I want to say it right, it's like Clevens on RX Buzz, and then I feel like I missed a name. Yeah, so I want to say it was so Ashley Clevens, I think I have that right. And then Hayes, actually Clevens Hayes. I knew there was another part to it. And then there was one more, the Pharmacy Future Leaders with Chloe Anastasia Givens, founder of Fast Forward Pharmacy with all PHs. So check those podcasts out. I think you'll really enjoy them. RX Radio, I haven't heard anything new since the opioid crisis with blockchain, but I'd love to hear what he's saying as Bitcoin is looking to go back below 6,000. For those of you that haven't followed, I think Bitcoin's gone up to 19,000 at one point in time at its high, and just had a recent really steep drop. No, it wasn't that bad. I want to say 300, 400 US dollars per Bitcoin. But again, a volatile currency, but certainly interesting to always follow Dr. Richard Waithe and what he has to say on things. Carissa was on the Chrissy Mall is a pharmacist in Yuma, and kind of talks about the process. I think although her focus was how to do the side hustle, RNF. My wife does RNF, and I think the more valuable part to me was that first part, because so many of my listeners are going to graduate pharmacy school, just graduating pharmacy school, and she went and worked for a year and then did pharmacy residency. And usually say, I'll get used to the money, I can't do that. But she found a residency program in Yuma, Arizona that one, paid pretty well, provided some really inexpensive housing, had amazing opportunities, and then a place for her afterwards. And now she's actually opening positions for pharmacists, creating more jobs for pharmacists. Definitely a great episode. number 69 from the Year Financial Pharmacist, but a great story as well. YouTubers, so I think Brian Fung had someone on with Start With Why. I think that was it's a book that I want to say it's been a while since I've read it, but it really comes down to when you're working towards a goal, start with why. Why are you doing this goal? And that'll help you move through it. Kevin Yee with Brian Fung going rooftoping in LA. And Kevin Yee talks about not going to college at all. So kind of an interesting perspective to see, as I look back, if I knew what I knew now, but I know it now because of college, the information you get in college, you can absolutely get without college. So if you just need the information, then college is kind of irrelevant. You can take Coursera courses. You could probably go into 300-person lecture halls and no one would know that you don't even go to that college. It's really, really easy to get an education, but what most colleges are selling is a credential and a name. This is why you'll pay $60,000, $80,000 for master's degree, and master's degrees seem to be profit centers for many colleges. I didn't pay for mine. I paid for a couple of the classes, but I had a PhD stipend through 2 years. Ended up going back to master's instead of PhD, and so my net was never to pay for it. I actually made some money, but be careful of those, because what I'm finding is that it's really selling a brand, and that you're going to be a graduate of such and such college, prestigious college, but really when somebody needs to call you back, when you need to have Facebook ads and YouTube ads about a college program, then maybe you're getting sold to rather than it actually maybe meeting what your needs are. And my recommendation is always to go to community college to take a class and just say, for $300 instead of $30,000, maybe I can improve a skill in a certain area and just get back to school. So anyway, that's it for the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast Weekend Update. Congratulations again to the winners of the SHP Travel Stipend Contest. Looking forward to the APhA-ASP MRM winners. That's going to be announced next Friday. And then I will talk to you then.
Support for this episode comes from the audiobook Memorizing Pharmacology, a relaxed approach. With over 9,000 sales in the United States, United Kingdom, and Australia, it's the go-to resource to ease the pharmacology challenge. Available on Audible, iTunes, and Amazon.com, in print, ebook, and audiobook. Thank you for listening to the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast with your host, Tony Guerra. Be sure to share the show with the hashtag #PharmacyLeaders.